Thank you very much for joining us tonight. It is the bottom line. And on the bottom line here, it is all about business. It is about the economy. It is about growing entrepreneurs. It is about the aviation industry, everything about the economy of the country, especially as regards employment or the reduction of unemployment here in the country. So you want to tune in, you want to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that the bottom line is live tonight, and so everybody should tune in. You always get to learn something, and we always get to discuss the business matters of the country. Tonight, we have a very strong line-up. We're going to have a session on entrepreneurship, and we call it marketing right. One of the biggest problems of entrepreneurs in the country, there has been various and a number of efforts by governments upon governments to expand the entrepreneurship space, realizing that government cannot recruit everybody in the country. And even the private sector, the employment sector, cannot recruit everybody in the country. But to build up employers and to build up people who will grow their own businesses and be able to also employ other people is one key area of solving the unemployment situation here in the country. So are we on the right path as a country that is investing in entrepreneurship? If government is doing so, what are the challenges? What are the problems? What are the mitigating factors that are stopping entrepreneurs from development? We can talk about marketing. We can talk about finances. We can talk about branding and so on and so forth. Tonight, we have a seasoned entrepreneur. We have somebody who has been in the business of entrepreneurship, creating businesses, employing people, and creating jobs across the length and breadth of the country to talk to us about one or two points. And if we get a chance with him, we'll serialize some of the things that he speaks about so that at every opportunity, we can get people to learn on how to build themselves as entrepreneurs. And then we'll veer off a bit into the economy of the country. Of course, he's been a business owner here in the country and understands the current economic situation of the country. He will share his views tonight, and we'll get that of the state of the nation. His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, some weeks back, addressed the whole country through Parliament on the state of the nation. Today, we had the NDC addressing the country on the state of the nation as well. We are not going into politics. This is business. We don't do politics. But we also will be assessing the true state of the nation. You want to stick and stay with us? This is the bottom line. We'll be right back. You're welcome back from the break. This is still the bottom line, and we are here tonight on your screens bringing you the best of business shows across the country. And my name is Kwesi Afriyie. Let me remind you that we are coming your way live from our studios here at Rage in Accra, and we are live on DSTV channel 277. Of course, we are live on our Facebook page, Metro TV News, and Chairman Kwesi Afriyie. You can tweet at me at Chairman Kwesi Afriyie on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook as well. And we'll put our numbers on the screen. If you have any question, please do not call. Just share your concern or question on the number, which will scroll on the screen, and we'll try as much as possible to read them for you. So tonight, we begin with entrepreneurship, and then we'll play some bites from the President and the NDC Congress today. But remember that we don't do politics here. We'll just get their bits on the state of the economy, and we'll come back into the studio to analyze properly what the state of the economy is. My guest tonight is let me begin with Dr. Michael Addo, and he's a seasoned entrepreneur. He's a business owner. He's founded a lot of businesses, some of which I wasn't even born, and he's a veteran when it comes to the business piece. He's written some books, Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship, How to Create, Start, and Grow Your Own Business. I think I will begin with that question, how to start a business in Ghana and the challenges and how to market. So that's one of the books I'm saying. Michael Addo, Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship, How to Create, to Start, and Grow Your Own Business. Innovation, funding, and marketing. And I'll come to it. The next one I have here, and we'll get his autograph for it, is the bestseller, The 7 Principles of Success and Wealth Creation, Experiences of an Accomplished Entrepreneur. Again, Michael Ejokum Addo. He is a Chief Executive Officer of Mikado Holdings Limited. Good evening, Nana, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Kwesi.
I hope you're doing well.
Very well.
Very, very, very well. You are welcome to our studios. But let me put this announcement across that sadly, very, very sadly, a former member of Parliament and a former Minister of State in charge of Finance, Honorable Dr. Anthony Osei Akoto, has just passed away. And you have his picture on the screen. He was a Ghanaian banker and politician and was in the cabinet of former President John Agyekum Kufuor as Minister of State for Finance and Economic Planning. He was a member of Parliament for the electoral district of Old Tafo in the Ashanti region. In February 2017, Osei was sworn in as a Minister of Monitoring and Evaluation. And he actually passed on today. And that's Dr. Anthony Akoto on the screen there. Our condolences, the entire Metro TV, our news team, Good Morning Ghana, Good Evening Ghana, Bottomline, and everyone will express our condolences with the family. That's a former Minister of State who has passed on. The announcement was made by Parliament. So we come back to the studio, and I have Nana Doctor here. Let me also announce that we have Dr. Patrick Asuming, who will be joining us pretty shortly on Zoom. Okay, Doc is here. Doc, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, and good evening to viewers. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. So I'll come to you pretty shortly, but let me come to the studio. We are beginning with our topic on entrepreneurship, and Nana is here. Nana, I will start with your book. You say innovation, funding, and marketing. And I know in trying to build an economy, one of the great pillars in modern day is entrepreneurship. What is our problem with entrepreneurship as a country?
Thank you. But I believe, with regards to your viewers, I'm wondering whether Ghanaians are aware
of entrepreneurship.
Yes. Whether there's a change in the world. And if you are not aware, that alone is a problem. It's only when you are aware that 50% of the solution would be achieved. If you are not aware, then there's something wrong. I will draw your attention to 19th century, when slavery was everywhere. And they were catching, buying human beings to till the land in America and Europe. Those slave masters became rich people, and they were tilling the land because these strong people could stand the avarice of the weather, the winter and the rest. Then in the 20th century, we entered industrial revolution. Because those countries that embarked on the industrialization became rich, and those that stood and watched industrialization pass by became very poor, including Ghana. And by 2000, end of the century, we had become one of the poorest countries in the whole world. So we had to sign on. In 2004, EPIC, highly indebted poor country. That was the problem, because we were not aware. We were watching on, and industrialization passed. Now we come to some of these revolutions by 100 years. So within the 100 years of industrialization, it ended in 2000. That was 20th century. We have entered 21st century. But see, believe it or not, we have already spent 23 years out of the 100 years. It's a century. And there is a revolution. There is a new revolution. And that's entrepreneurial revolution. Are we aware? If we are not aware, then it means that we are going to be poor. And my prophecy is that academicians are going to be the poorest people in Ghana here the next 10 years. 10
Academicians.
are going to be the poorest.
What,
Get you the PhD,
why do
the
you say
master's
so?
degree. Because if you don't go
everybody
IT,
is going to school now.
that's
Everybody
the problem.
is trying to get a
That's what
master's,
my
get
book is
one or two
addressing.
more masters.
That's what my book is addressing. And that's the legacy I want to leave to Ghanaians. That we need to be aware that there is a revolution now. The industrial revolution time is over. Now it's IT and entrepreneurship. The imaginative mind to see problems and solve problems in our society is the order of the day. So you can get all your certificates. Now, there had been a research on what constitutes success, and it comes with the acronym ASK: attitude, skills, and knowledge. Knowledge is 15%. It only carries 15%. And skills is 25%. The rest is attitude. That's what my first book addresses. Attitude of the Ghanaian worker. We give excuses why something was not done properly. They will explain and make sure that you understand. You listening to him should understand. It's a wrong attitude. Carries 60% of your success. And if you are that type and you are not reliable and you are always talking about honesty,
People fail to do things and they always want to give a reason for their failure to do what they have to do.
Page 16,
Somebody
17,
didn't take
18.
responsibility for something.
Please read page 17 of the smaller book.
Page 17.
Yes.
17.
Start with 16, paragraph 3. Paragraph.
People promise but often fail to fulfill their promises. They give you time, but they are never sure to go by it. They call it African time or Ghana time.
Yes, but
Yet, we do not have African or Ghana watch. They expect you to understand them. Let it rain and nothing works.
The last
Almost
sentence.
everybody in Ghana is guilty of these politicians and pastors alike. Unreliable character has generated some words which have become normal in our daily conversations. Such words include, unfortunately, circumstances beyond our control and due to security reasons. These words are used only to rationalize unreliable behavior. They end up giving all kinds of excuses, reasons why something was not done or achieved. I have compiled some excuses people usually give for not doing what is expected of them. The excuses may include, oh, I forgot, because of the rain, circumstances beyond my control,
The last
caught
two.
by the traffic. Somebody has died, and I had to go to the village.
next page. If it's office,
So technical, it's spoiled, it's out of order, it's broken down, it's run out of oil. Office is gone to town. Yes, and this happens very well in the public sector.
yes.
You go in and somebody says,
And that's why we are poor.
It's break time. And 2 hours they're on break.
Next one.
Religious, it's not good. It's Satan, it's the devil. It will be all right. Ebeye.
Near Bompire, sir. To give excuses. It's unfortunate. And that's what my book is addressing.
But I'm surprised that you say academicians will be the poorest in the next 10 years.
Because we are giving excuses. If nothing works well, either in the economy, in
Some
political
of us have
areas,
thought that acquisition of knowledge is very key to the development
only
of an economy.
15%. I tell you, look around your community in this country. Successful people are not academicians. Look around and give examples. Whether Zoom Lion has PhD. And he is the highest employer in this country.
Yes.
Tobinco is not PhD holder. Antrak is not PhD holder. I can go on and on and on and tell you and give you examples of successful people in this country who are not academicians. So to be successful economically does not rely on your academic achievement.
What should we do? Should we get into entrepreneurship? What should government do? What should we as
Now it's a revolution. Whether we like it or not, we have to embark on it. Seriously. We have to embark on entrepreneurial. It's a revolution. And Kuratko is an authority. He says that it's going to be more powerful than the 20th century industrial revolution.
Development economists would say that you move from all the things you have said, probably to farming, to industrialization, as you say, before you get into what we are talking about. You are here now saying that we have passed the era of industrialization.
Yes. Now we are in
but in Ghana, in some parts of Africa, we are jumping onto the service economy without having gone through properly industrialization. We don't have factories. We don't have avenues of creating employment. How do we get into?
The more we try to industrialize, the more we become poorer.
So government's agenda of 1D, 1F is not good?
I don't want to go into politics.
I mean for business, for the economy.
Where are we getting our raw materials, Kwesi? Where are we getting our raw materials? So the countries that have already been industrialized, they have an edge over us. So they will bring in more of their products at cheaper price. Now I hear there is Gary from China, and they can make Gary within 3 days.
Yes.
For us, it takes us months before we finish our Gary. Where lies our industrialization?
You say innovation, funding, and marketing. I agree. I mean, I've been convinced that we need to move straight into entrepreneurship and especially IT. How do we get that done?
The awareness.
We need to create the awareness.
We have to know that there is a revolution now, which I doubt whether we are aware. And for lack of knowledge,
my people
will perish. If you are not aware, for which there's a campaign coming from me and Mikado Educational Entrepreneurial Program. It's an NGO. Yes. So where are we now?
But we have a lot of, you talk about innovation, a lot of our Ghanaian youth today, for want of better words, who are not necessarily innovative. And for those who are, like you have said here, funding is the biggest problem. You won't get funding even from the commercial banks, and they will tell you you need to start the business, then they give you the money to expand, but they will not give you the money as a startup.
Again, it's lack of knowledge about funding. Funding is the least important aspect or factor in business. Funding is the least. But ask any graduate, any Ghanaian, why it's not working. Oh, I don't have funding, which is the least. It's not important.
In the Ghanaian economy now, how do we get funding?
Funding is not important. What is important is the idea. It's the manpower. It's you. After you, having had the idea, you have dreamt, you have the vision, comes, what is it? How do you implement the idea? Then you need IT, machines. You need materials to work with. You need marketing. Who are your target group? You require time for money. Manpower, machines, materials, marketing, and then money. And the money is the least of all the five. Because if you are right in your mental capacity with the manpower, all the other things will fall in line.
So I want to produce motorbikes or bicycles in Ghana.
Good.
I need to have a land somewhere, probably build a setup.
That will come under materials.
That will come under capital and materials.
Yes.
And of course, recruit people or bring like minds
So without
together.
cutting you short, if you have a family that has the land, you have the land. You have somebody that can give you the land because you have the goodwill already, you have the land. So where lies the funding? What kind of network do you have? How do people see you? How do people know you? What is your reputation like? If I give you something, would you pay me back? Are you a reliable person? Right from the word go, from families, from friends, from schools, from your church. Are you a reliable person? Do people know you to be a reliable person? If not, we will give you millions of CDs. It will still go down the drain. Are we not in this country when Maslow has given a lot of money to people and they see it as a dash? Give them money from the banks even and they don't pay back. NPLs, non-performing loans, have gone so high that 7 banks have been closed down. Why? It's not the money which matters.
Now, this is a topic we have to come to Mikado, sit down, and get into the details of it. But for now, let me do a bit of the economy as we are in the state of the economy. But Dr. Patrick Asuming is a lecturer at the UGBS, and I'm sure he will be interested in some of the statements that you have made. First of all, UGBS, I know they have a full course on entrepreneurship. They acknowledge the fact that entrepreneurship is the order of the day.
Good.
And so they have a course, which I can attest to. However, the point that academicians will be the poorest in the next 10 years.
Yes.
Doc, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Right. Thank you very much. I'm sure you've been listening to Nana Dr. Michael Ejekumadu and the propositions that he's made. Of course, we acknowledge that entrepreneurship is very key to economic development in this current and modern day. I don't know your view about all Doc has said. Briefly before that, before we get into the economy.
Well, I like everything he said, except the one that says that we are going to be among the poorest going forward.
That was.
He says, except the one that you say lecturers or academicians, not lecturers, academicians are going to be the poorest in the next 10 years. Doc, let's listen to you. Let me hear you.
No, I think, I really like his submissions. I like the point about, people making excuses that I don't have funds, so I can't start a business. I think, you have to start small and, so also having a workable idea, an idea that you spend time to think through, that you can sell to others. I think that's a fantastic starting point. And then also, I like the point about the attitudes, especially the work attitudes. I think Ghanaians, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and question whether, we have an attitude that will make us progressive. One of the things we teach lower level economics is that the main source of living standard is productivity. So productivity is extremely important. So if we are making excuses for our limitations and we are not working as hard as we can, then obviously it doesn't matter how much funds you receive, you are not going to build a successful business. So overall, I think I really like the submissions.
I'm happy about the IT bit. And Doc, I'm sure when you have time, we'll have to bring you into the studio with Nana again, because the world is going online. And it looks as if people are not aware of the direction of the world now. And so people are not in tune with issues of IT and so on and so forth. I know that University of Ghana Business School, you are doing a lot of online courses and still organizing the exams the way you should and getting the results.
Well, yes, I think the COVID has forced all of us to be very innovative. So you are right that the University of Ghana Business School, we've had to find ways of, especially when the COVID started, delivering, enriching our clients online, while at the same time making sure that we're able to deliver the quality and then also the proper evaluation system. So, and you are right that we do have entrepreneurship programs. And last week, we launched our business incubation center to try and not just give people ideas about entrepreneurship, but also take them through incubation, the practical side of the training. So, yeah, all of that also, while doing that, we're also taking advantage of the technology that's not available.
Right. So we'll now move on to the economy, but kindly indulge me, let me pick a quick break. When I come back, this is the bottom line. We'll be talking about the state of the economy from the financial, business, and economic aspects, not the political. Please stay with us. Unfortunately, I have very limited time, but let me read just one of the messages. And Samuel Somoyu Asante from Dakuman says, I humbly trust reputation and acquisition of knowledge is key in relation to your ideas and how you implement as an entrepreneur a relationship between people. Okay, let me come back to Nana. Let me allow you to conclude on that, and then I'll come to the economy.
Which of them?
on the point Doc was making, you wanted to make a clarification.
Well, with the fact that academicians may be poor.
Yes.
Okay. You know, academicians get their salary. It's stratified. This is your output. So this is what society can offer you, right? Why do you have doctors going on strike every year? Even though they were the best in class, they did the best course, and they think they are handling human lives. And so they should be given priority in terms of salaries. And yet they complain, which means that as academicians get their salaries, which they are so comfortable, the economy will not wait for them. So they go to the market and they realize that things are more expensive than they expected. And this is going to go on and on and on. Meanwhile, the entertainers, the celebrities,
They charge per the current rate of the economy.
no, the society pays them exponentially. If you're a good footballer, millions of dollars that they give you. Be you a good runner, a basketball player. All these sportsmen are very, very rich. All right? Why? Society is changing. And we're recognizing people using their right answer with their brains. Talents is the key. Sports and entertainment is the order of the day. Meanwhile, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, if you were in the arts subjects, you were looked down in schools.
Exactly.
21st century is for them. I encourage them. If you're an artist, this is your time. If you are a sports person, this is your time. Society is paying exponentially to talents, sports, and entertainment. So if you have a child who has a talent of entertaining people, now is the time. Encourage that person. Now, scientists, physicists, chemists, pharmacists, doctors, IT is taking over. I used to have about 20 people in my accounts department. Now there are only 3.
The rest
Because I have a software that handles all my business. So where lies your accountancy? Human resource. Thousands of them are churned out every year. How many companies will pick 10 human resource managers? Only one. Unilever has over 5,000 people. They have only one human resource manager. So if you have a child, if you have a brother who is reading business administration, human resource, where is he going to get a job? 4 years, 5 years, he will be at home. Now the government is taking the right step of TVET, vocations, encouraging people. That's the best way to go. And I think it's on the right path.
Nana Kwamwab Watson from Ablekuma Central says, good evening, Akwesi. I'm enjoying solid delivery from Mikado. Anyway, a very special greetings to Engineer Cadet Mensa Arthur. Nana Kwamwab Watson sent in that one. Let me move on to the economy now. We have some videos, but unfortunately, because of time, we are not able to play them. And I'll come to you and begin this one with you, Doc. His Excellency the President did the State of the Nation address some days back, and today we had the NDC also do what they call a true State of the Nation. Let's with that come on your own and on our own, and from the business and finance aspect to what the state of the economy is. Currently, we have the Minister of Finance, I think in China, trying to find a way to cancel our debts, and he's also going to Paris to meet the Paris Club. And all of these have to be done for the IMF to pull through. If we don't, we may be heading for a ditch. I'm quote unquote, and I'm using my words advisedly, because you are the expert. I'll come to you on that. What is the state of the nation currently, as we speak?
Well, I think the state of the nation can be felt by all of us in our pockets. It can be felt by all of us when we go out there to make transactions. And on that count, you have to say that the Ghanaian economy is not in a very good state at the moment. You can start from what our leaders like to discuss a lot, which are the macroeconomic indicators. How quickly the economy is growing, or how stable our currency is, or how quickly prices are moving, or how quickly the economy is creating jobs to absorb the graduates who come out of school. So you look at all of these, and then also how public finances is looking like, and the fact that we've recently done domestic debt exchange, and as you referenced in your intro on this, the finance minister is going on a trek to China and other places to go and beg for forgiveness, essentially. So clearly, the Ghanaian economy is not in a very good state. And I don't think, even the country's managers will believe at that point that we are not in a very good state. I think what they have debated is why we are not in a good state. The question about whether it's primarily because of things beyond our control or because we have not managed our economy well. But I think at the micro side, we all know when we go out there to buy things and prices are rising very quickly, it tells us that something is not going right. Or when sometimes, people find it necessary to put their wealth in foreign currency rather than our local currency, and people trust a foreign currency than a local currency. It's also a symptom from the micro point that people don't think that things are going well. So whether you look at it at the micro side or the macro side, whichever way you cut it, you come to the conclusion that the Ghanaian economy is not doing well at the moment. And it hasn't been doing well for a while.
So let me follow up with this before I come to Nana in the studio. Is it beyond our control currently? Some time back, managers of the economy had touted the macroeconomic indicators that they were on the positive path until COVID and what you would call the exogenous factors and so on and so forth. Currently, if we are not able to get the IMF or get through the IMF program, some people think that it would be fully beyond our control. Is it within our control, or what do you think? It is beyond our control?
So I think we can't just fold our arms and say it is beyond our control. I think we have the ability, we have the endowment, we have the resources, we have the human power, the brains to be able to manage our economy much better than we have up to this point. I think there are a lot of things that we could do differently, and it's a little bit tragic that at the moment it looks like all that we are waiting for is for an IMF deal to go through, and then we seem to think that magically all our problems will be solved. But that's not going to be the case. Even if you go through the IMF, it's going to give us some form of stability for a while. And then suddenly, once we get that stability, it's what we do with it. Don't forget that we've been through this many times. We've gone to the IMF many times. And usually, we are able to stabilize the economy somehow, but we quickly manage to mismanage it again. And then suddenly, we are back into the same problem. So I think what we are going to do, or what is within our means, is saying that, okay, we are going to chart a completely different path. And by that, we mean changing how our economy runs, changing, there's been a lot of discussions about the structure of the economy. Is it within us to do that? Yes. If we have the right kind of governance systems, and we have, we follow the right kind of economic policies, and we are consistent, and we plan over the long term and not just do things that will make us feel better in the short term, we definitely have what it takes to change the fortunes of the Ghanaian economy. But it's not going to be an easy task. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. It's going to take a lot of commitment. It's going to take a lot of changing all the things that we've been doing. I've always said that the economy has been too reliant on foreign financing of different forms. And that is part of why we are extremely exposed to shocks within the external economy. So even if we say, we've been exposed to economic shocks from elsewhere, we have to understand that we had what it takes to change that narrative, to ensure that when small things happen in the rest of the world, we are not going under. So we definitely have within us. At the moment, I'm not seeing any clear strategy about what we do without the IMF. There's been something that's been said what we do beyond the IMF, but it looks like we are waiting for an IMF program to kick in before.
Are we going to get the board
we get
approval
on
from
that
what you
track.
said?
Not in the time frame we are expecting. We are not going to get a board approval by the end of this month, as the president had anticipated.
We will not get it.
Because yes.
Wow. Let me come to Nana in the studio. I'll come back to you, Doc. I'll come back before we close. And Sir Rich from Dabala in the Volta region says, I'm enjoying the program. Keep up the good work and continue with the entrepreneurship topics, please. Great program. Joshua from Domi Pillar 2. Hello, how do I join the Mikado Entrepreneurship Training Program? Your kind response will be very much appreciated. Thanks, Joseph Wager. We'll get that before we run out of here. But let me come to you now. What is the state of the economy?
Well, we have to think about fundamentals. Because see, if your income is the same as your expenditure, you are not poor, you are not rich. Just break even. If your income as a salary earner is less than your expenditure, it's less. If your income is less, your expenses are very high. You become poor. You go out borrowing. And what will help you? Nothing will help you. So you will go to reduce your expenses. If your expenses is less and your income is high, you are a rich person, rich economy, rich country, and you can give and borrow money to other people. So long as the expenditure is higher than the income, will forever be poor.
Our state of the economy is bad.
If our expenditure continues to be higher than our income, that's where I expect that they should balance things, that let us reduce our expenses and try to increase our income. That's the only way. It can take some time, but at least you know that you are heading towards success.
We seem to be very overly, as Doc said, reliant on the IMF program. It looks as if we don't get it, we can't go on as a country.
It will not help us. So long as we keep on having the expenditure that we have, and we keep on going for more expenses, IMF is only 3 billion. And our budget is more than 3 billion. It's around 30 billion. How do you solve that problem? It's a dichotomy. So from my family life, my business experience tells me that let us reduce our expenses, our expenditure. Projects go down. And then you can realize your income and then use your income. Otherwise, so long as the expenses are there, no matter how much money that you make, internally or externally, you'll still be poor.
You may be getting the expenditure on and producing more. When I think around 2017, we had been told that we would be moving from expenditure, as you are saying, or from taxation into production. If we produce more, there will be more for people to work with, productivity will go up and so on and so forth, and as a country, we'll go on. But we are not seeing that.
Taxation is to give you income. Meanwhile, it's chasing higher expenses. So no matter how much you tax the people, if the expenditure pattern is still there and it's even increasing, I tell you, your people will become poorer and things will not go well. The economy will still go down.
Joshua, again, from Domi Pillar 2, says, the Germans have done well in helping SMEs in their country. And what Nana is saying makes me remember my experience in Germany and how they focus more on entrepreneurship. Okay, we have moved away from that topic, but almost all the messages are coming on that. Let me ask you this last one, and then I'll go to Doc. What should the managers of the economy do? Should we lose hope as people in the country? Is there control? Are they able to take control of the economy?
When IMF comes on board,
yes,
they are just coming to tell us, reduce your expenses. So give me the list of all your budget, what is giving you the expenses. And then they will reduce some of them. Cut down your ministries. Cut down this, cut down that. Don't employ this, don't allow this. public expenditure should, they will tell us to reduce expenses. Look, if you have 100% problems, expenses, now Pareto principle says that just hammer on 20%, and the 80% will take care of itself.
Pareto efficiency.
Yes. So let us know our expenditure pattern from health, education, whatever, and then try to reduce it and hammer on areas where we can, like roads, which is important. Yes. And then we'll see that the economy will start to balance. For now, I plead with whoever is listening to us that we should reduce our expenses, maintain our income, or increase our income. Things will change.
Let me come to you, Doc. But before I do that, let me read this. I'm sure it would require an answer from you as well. Ask Dr. Asuming about expectations with China and the Paris Club. Would they cancel our debt? So, Doc, someone is asking your expectations with the meeting between the Minister of Finance and the Chinese and the Paris Club. Very funny listening to Prof. Yes, we feel the hardship, but we are better off than Kenya, Senegal, Burkina, and South Africa, where people can't get food and fuel whilst others are sleeping in darkness. You, the media, are silent on what's going on in the above-mentioned countries currently, but you are giving ear to the propaganda and lies. Stick to the facts as a media house. Well, to that one, I can also tell you that we do the comparison with all of these countries that you have mentioned, but we also do with Togo, which is next to us as a country. We do with Ivory Coast, which is next to us as a country. We do with Nigeria, which is almost in the same state as us, if we are doing that analysis as a media house and of course, from the economic point. The Chinese have done very well to pull themselves out of crass poverty in the last 35 years. They, however, are still very frugal and find it very hard to be generous. China doesn't give anything for free. If China ever forgives even a small fraction of Ghana's debt now, Ghana will be finished. China will run over Ghana and Ghanaians and crudely colonize us. The government shouldn't be allowed to sell us down the tube. Bafo Intema sent in this one. Doc, let me listen to you now.
Well, let me start with the comment about whether China is going to forgive our debt. And
Right,
I like
right.
the last message that, you know, the Chinese are very tough negotiators. And I don't think they have a long history of debt forgiveness the way we are anticipating. So if you think that after the visit by the finance ministry, the Chinese government is going to forgive our debt, you are completely mistaken. They will definitely want something in return. The best we can hope for is some maybe meager sort of form of reduction and maybe a renegotiation of some terms. But it's going to be extremely difficult to expect that the Chinese, especially in the short period of time, is going to forgive a lot of our debt. I'm not anticipating that will happen. And if you follow the discussion from the German finance minister in particular, who has been speaking a fair amount about Ghana's situation, you get the sense that unless the Chinese agree to some substantial cuts, then there might be some difficulty there. So I don't think, the discussions that we are going to have, we should be too optimistic about that, especially from the Chinese side. But, again, also let's talk about the discussion about the public expenditure, the fiscal deficit that Nana has been speaking about. I do agree that we have to do a lot to manage the expenditure. I think there are a few things we could also do to add a little bit to the revenue side, to expand the revenue envelope. That will help us. Because, one of the things is that, when politicians are used to a certain kind of expenditure level, we can break it down, but maybe maximum 20%. So it means that, but our hole is quite big. So it means that we have to also do some revenue measures, not necessarily raising new taxes. There are a lot of uncollected taxes, and there are a lot of freebies that the government of Ghana give to some will say corporations that probably don't deserve it, foreign corporations that get a lot of exemptions and others. So I think we can look at that to also expand the revenue envelope. But ultimately, We have to change the way the economy runs, ensure that we are not over-dependent on foreign financing, and ensure that we are producing a lot of what we consume and consuming a lot of what we produce. When we do that, then it will help put the pressure on our currency down. It will also help us generate more local jobs. Because when we are encouraging entrepreneurship, but if they set up enterprises and nobody wants to patronize what they produce, it's really not going to help us. So I think we need to look at, over the long term, changing how the structure of the economy works. We also have to do something to fix government finances, for sure.
All right, Doc, thank you very much on that one. And so I'm sure we'll get the opportunity to come back to you again. Now let me round up with you in the studio. Somebody had asked how they can join the Mikado Training Institute.
I think he should follow us on
social
media.
Yeah. On social. And then if I need a copy of the book?
Mikado outlets.
Once I get on social media, I can still get in touch.
Yes.
So if you want to have a copy of Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship, How to Create, Start, Grow Your Own Business, Innovation, Funding, and Marketing, and then the 7 Principles of Success and Wealth, Experiences of an Accomplished Entrepreneur. 1986, he had his businesses running, well accomplished. Nana, thank you very much for doing us here tonight. Okay, 30 seconds.
Yes, our association and our meeting with China, I am very optimistic that they may help us.
They may help us?
Yes. And then the Paris Club could also help us.
They will?
Yes.
They will.
So I have hope. And from the President's State of the Nation address, I think he also agreed that there were certain areas that he was going to cut expenditure. I have hope that things will be better.
He has hopes that things will be better. My name is Kwesi Afriyie Nana. Dr. Michael Ajekum Addo is the CEO of Mikado Holdings. Dr. Patrick Asuming is a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. He joined us live on Zoom and he stayed with us throughout the program. Nana has been here in the studio throughout the program. My name is Kwesi Afriyie, your host for Bottomline. Good evening. Thank you very much for watching us. And of course, those of you who sent us the text messages, a large number of them we couldn't read. Good evening to you all.